Yeah, you formed, you know why you formed it? Because you went all over the world and stole everything from everybody, from the spices, the ivory, the gold, the silver, the minerals, the rare earth. You stole everything. So that you built, you know, you got nice stuff. You built that so-called civilization, but it was built by stealing. You're a thief. You steal and civilize.
Must bring in tons of
Okay, but when you drop an atomic bomb, was that okay? That wasn't a sovereign country. That was an empty place, right? Agreement. Have you ever asked somebody, people in Africa, whether you want to impose Christianity on them? Why did you bring your bullshit religion to Africa? Huh? You did the same thing to Southeast Asia. Huh? You went all the way to Australia and invaded. Did you ask the indigenous people of Australia whether they want to be invaded by white people from Britain?
So what is happening in the world? Why is Islam protected and yet criticism of Islam is regarded as somehow dangerous?
Because we fear Islam. Islam is the dominant cultural force right now. Right now, the West has an identity crisis. We don't even know what our laws are going to be. We don't know what our values are. We've kind of rejected Christianity. We're erasing our statues, tearing our history down, changing our anthems like we have in Canada.
Okay, so today we're gonna do this video. We're gonna react to this video. It's quite an interesting video, right? I already watched it, a little bit of it. I mean, I watched the entire thing. It's only a 4-minute video, and so this is the person speaking. Her name is Lauren Southern, and she's a Canadian alt-right. I mean, these right wings, like they're just lunatics, like I said. And I tried to look at, her things and look at her resume. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, I mean, in the video we're gonna cover, she made some outrageous claim. But as you can see, her previous statement, she's against multiculturalism. She called Black Lives Matters a terrorist organization. She called them divisive, violent movement. Multiculturalism will inevitably fail 50% of the Western culture. Y'all talking about Western culture, but nobody can actually define it. Talking about Western values all the time, but it's like you got one definition of it, but like the rest of the world have another definition of what constitutes Western values. She said, she spoke in opposition to feminism, and she said that women are not psychologically developed to hold leadership positions. I'm not going to be as great as and she was trying to run in the Canadian federal election. She trying to run as a libertarian party candidate.
Because we fear Islam. Islam is the dominant cultural force right now. Right now, the West has an identity.
Okay, well, see, I'm trying to react to it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, she's going to say some outrageous stuff. But I'm trying to be just objective. Like, we're going to do some Google search. We're going to look up at the fact and all that. Now, is it the dominant force? There's one thing, about the fertility rate, and he's going to speak about it. I mean, if you're not making babies, I mean, it's not the responsibility of some other culture to convince you to procreate. I mean, you created this system where you can't even reproduce yourself. Like, you're gonna go extinct. In 3 generations, half of white people, I mean, they're already a small percentage of the people. I mean, the entire world is black or brown or some other shade of brown or black. She's just reading from the script. I mean, listen to what she's saying.
Crisis. We don't even know what our laws are going to be. We don't know what our values are. We've kind of rejected Christianity.
Okay, you rejected Christianity. That's the point. You started this bullshit about secularism, separation of. Nobody told you to do that. Nobody, convinced you to abandon your religion. I mean, even if that's a fake religion. I do respect Christianity, but that version that comes from the Middle East, not that bullshit with white Jesus and white angels. I mean, this God is so racist, he won't allow like black angels into heaven. So you have, changed the entire thing, when it's like you look at the Bibles. I mean, if somebody is not a Christian and want to learn about Christianity, there's like hundreds of different versions of the same book. And y'all can't agree on anything. There's a version of Christianity in Germany, another one in Canada, another one in the United States, another version in France, another version in Italy. It's like the entire, another version in Russia. It's like the entire thing is goofy. You know, it looks like fake to me, you know, and then I said, I'm trying to be objective. But like, come on. You already had a religion, you abandoned it, and now you're gonna blame some other group. Now let's continue.
We're erasing our statues, tearing our history down, changing our
Okay,
anthem.
well, see, y'all just not even you not want to admit all the all the crimes and atrocities that you committed. I mean, you still have like Winston Churchill statues in the United Kingdom. I mean, this is who you admire? Do we even have to list all the stuff that that person did? I mean, it's a monster. And y'all admire, that's your hero, right? And so, statues, like what history like are you proud of? Which part of your history are you proud of? Like I said, yeah, gotta be honest with yourself. And I understand some people will get defensive. But like your defensiveness is also part of the problem. It's like you've been fed like a fake version, like a fake religion, and on top of that, a fake history. What you believe in is just mythology.
We have in Canada, we have an identity crisis. Islam knows who they are. They know what they want. They want a global caliphate.
No, where does it say that? Global caliphate, where? Who is trying to push that idea? I've never heard of anybody speak about that. So this is just a made up claim. Okay, well let's ask AI, you know, because I was trying to be objective. Okay, let's say do. Okay, well let's ask and see what AI is gonna say. Okay, so it says several Muslim groups and ideology actively seek to establish a caliphate through their methods, scope, and vision vary significantly. Organization like I mean, what do you mean? Those groups were created by the West. I mean, these groups, these specific groups, only appeared after the West came to that region. These Muslims, they were living in the Middle East for 1,400 years. They never had a problem with extremist groups until the West came. Look, I'm not trying to make up stuff. But this bullshit about the brotherhood, you know, I mean, as you can see, it's only like these groups. And these groups, they only represent like less than 1%. We're talking about now in 2025, there's like 2 billion Muslims. So 0.1% of these extremists are trying to like pursue an idea. First thing she said, absolutely wrong. Let's continue.
So Islam is dominating the Western world. And right now, this is just an inkling of what the future is going to look like. They're still a minority in Western countries. And while all these people will tout open borders, multiculturalism, as soon as Islamists become over 50% of your population, you will see your country looking exactly like any Islamic nation in the world. And
well, okay, well, it's gonna look okay. First of all, I don't, like I said in the beginning, if you're not reproducing, I mean, why would you blame some other group? Like, regardless of whether they're Muslim or some atheist or whatever, Buddhist, Hinduist, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're not reproducing, like, you can't just blame the other some other group. Now, when it comes to when it's become dominant, it's gonna look like Muslim countries, right? But what is wrong with it? Like, except the ones that you bombed, like Afghanistan, you've been bombing that country for 20 years. Well, it doesn't even look like a country right now. Okay, so let's do that. Crime index. Okay, let's look at this. So let's say that the most violent countries: Venezuela, Papua New Guinea, Haiti, Afghanistan, South Africa, Honduras, Trinidad, Syria, Jamaica. So you only have Syria and Afghanistan. Both of these countries you've been bombing for decades. The chaos and the tyranny, it's the West that created it. It's not because of Islam. So as you can see, you have Yemen. Same thing you did to that country. As you can see, where is this Muslim country? Where? El Salvador, where? I can see, maybe Libya. Libya also, you killed Gaddafi in front of everybody. That's our leaders. Who to give you the right to kill him? Now, as you can see, where? There's like Algeria here, there's like Iran. Okay, and here's the West. Belgium, United States, United Kingdom, Ukraine, Australia. And let's look at the safest country. Those are the safest. United Arab Emirates. Those are in the Gulf. Qatar, Oman, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, one of the safest place on the earth. And she's talking about is going to become like Muslim. What is? I mean, that's just the crime index. I mean, we don't have to look at other things. What safety? The reason I bring that up, because listen, if a country is not safe, like the UK, you can get stabbed. You can get people would steal your stuff. It's not safe. It doesn't matter if you have a nice infrastructure. If it's not safe, it doesn't matter. The rest doesn't actually have any importance. Let's continue the video.
Suddenly, the LGBT activists won't be as happy about this open borders situation.
And it's always come to either protecting women or something about the LGBT. This is the only thing they care about. I talked about the crime index because something that affects everybody. Yeah, motherfucker, like y'all just always bring up either it's LGBT or it's like abortion or it's like women or it's like the same talking point. This is what you care about. You don't care about anything. You don't care about safety. You don't care about culture. None of that matters. They're only like
the liberal women that are being stoned for the crime of rape.
Okay, well, see, that's the bullshit. Okay, well, let's figure out. Okay, let's ask the question. Do Muslims... Okay, let's ask the question. Do Muslims stone women? Islamic jurisprudence distinguish between consensual adultery and rape through implementation in practice. Okay, well, we don't need that. Okay, so there's two key examples. Iran and Afghanistan. Stoning for adultery remain legally codified but rarely implemented publicly. However, rape victims in this country have faced prosecution, etc. Okay, well, give me the numbers. I don't care about whether it's legal or not. So I asked like to get some numbers. So here's some key statistics. Sentencing the legal study. 15 country region have stoning codified in law, practiced extrajudicially, including Iran, Afghanistan, Nigeria, Somalia, Sudan, UAE, and Brunei. So Iran, 100 confirmed stoning between 1980 and 2009. You see what I'm talking about? 150 instances. 150. Okay, and there's like 51 people sentenced to stoning in 2023 in 1 year, and including 23 women. Okay, in Afghanistan, I mean, listen, like I said, it's no longer a country. You destroyed that fucking place. 20 years of bombing, unacceptable. So we're not gonna talk about it. And even then, it's like, what did they find? They find like a 19-year-old woman. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not trying to like defend it. I'm saying it's not what you think. It's like it's happening every day in Nigeria. Nigeria is really not an Arab Muslim country, but like 6 instances. Sudan, stunning in a decade issued. Okay, well there's like 1 instance here in Somalia, including 30 years. Like I said, I'm trying to be objective. And I'm asking for the data. I'm trying to look at the statistics. I'm getting the same thing. I'm like getting 23 women, 150. Okay, well, let's look at something. Okay, well, here's a good example. How many people died by law enforcement? So in the United States, law enforcement officers kill approximately 1,000 to 1,300 people annually. Okay, this is why you're allergic to context. Because context, it destroys whatever narrative you're trying to push. And she's just reading from the script. But like, motherfucker, if you're not going to use the context, so do you think that in the US, this is a problem? Okay, and also, you know, in Iran, they're like 150 from 1980 to 2023. In like 20, in what is that, like 25 years or something, right? In 25 years, there's like 150 instances of people dying by this horrific crime. I understand it's bad. Nobody's saying it's a good thing. But like 150 in 25 years. In the United States, they're killing almost 1,000 people every year.
Realize what they've gotten themselves into, and I fear that it may have to get to these horrific points before people wake up and open their eyes.
But Lauren,
well, we just woke up, you know, and we did the research ourselves. Now let's continue.
Saying, but in part, not just because of migration, but because of the fertility of the
yes, that's
population.
what I said at the beginning.
And so I've got two questions for you. One is, you know, what does Lauren Southern say is the right approach? I mean, if you will say you will say you're not a racist, as the sort of accusers will make out, but you are seemingly supporting the right of European culture to defend itself against adversaries and competitors. But B,
who is your adversary? Like these competitors, like nobody competing with the
if a
West.
culture
Like,
is simply much more fertile,
I mean,
then doesn't it deserve to inherit the earth?
Well, not when it was never put to a referendum. No one in Sweden or Canada or Australia, for that matter, was asked, do you want people with a completely different culture to immigrate here?
why you can't say you can't use that argument? Have you ever asked somebody, people in Africa, whether you want to impose Christianity on them? Why did you bring your bullshit religion to Africa? Huh? You did the same thing to Southeast Asia. Huh? You went all the way to Australia and invaded. Did you ask the indigenous people of Australia whether they want to be invaded by white people from Britain? You didn't ask them. You didn't ask the indigenous people living in Canada and the so-called United States of America. You didn't ask those people. You massacred them. You hunted them. Have you ever you asked Iraq whether they want to be invaded by Americans, by white people, and have this so-called democracy that you want to impose on them? You didn't ask Syrian. You didn't ask Libya. You didn't ask Sudan. You didn't ask Cambodia. You didn't ask Japanese people whether they want an atomic bomb dropped on them. You killed 250,000 people in one day. You didn't ask Vietnam whether they want 2 million people dead. So you never ask anybody when you want to commit your crime, your action, your atrocity, your savagery. You don't ask, you know. But somehow when people come to the West legally, right? And most of them, they work, they assimilate to your culture, they learn your culture, they abide by the law, they respect the everything that is imposed on them, right? This idea that somehow all of them are illegal. I mean, y'all just, I don't know how much you can, like how much lie you can put in like 2 minutes of like... It's like y'all just dishonest. I mean, Westerners are very dishonest.
Their own cultural enclaves. No one was asked. We believe in the right to sovereignty for every nation and every people.
Well, I just mentioned hundreds of crimes you committed, 150 regime change imposed on all nations across the world by the United States, by white people. And don't tell me this is about, I'm talking about white people in general. Right? You want to say, well, I'm from this country, we didn't do... We don't care. Like the people, like 150, just in the last 50 years. Right? Do they have the right for sovereignty, or it's just you? You have the right to sovereignty, but other people, no. It's like, this is like the disingenuous nature of the West. It's like, you have a set of rules for yourself, but another set of other people, they can just go F themselves.
The world. And we respect that. No one is ever telling the Japanese, destroy your culture. You must bring in tons of Koreans. You must bring in tons of...
Okay, but when you drop an atomic bomb, was that okay? That wasn't a sovereign country. That was an empty place, right? I mean, wow.
Africans, or you are a racist, bigoted nation. No one would say this to Nigerians. They have the right to protect their culture. In fact, we consider it...
And they talking about this bullshit. And in Europe, I mean, the conversation about Europe is like 10% of foreigners. are come from outside of Europe. 10%. And they're talking about like they're gonna replace us, and I was like 10%, and your culture is so weak that it cannot handle 10% of people who are different, and they do assimilate to their culture because it's imposed on them. Even when you go to Europe, you go to the United States, you can practice your religion, but you have to do it in private. I mean, you can do it also in public, but like it's not like you can display it, and it's like so yes, they cannot like just replace European culture, and if it can get replaced, I mean, the question becomes, well, why is it so weak? Why can it defend itself? You want to defend it by spreading lies, and that's what I don't agree with. You want to defend it by persecuting and and spreading propaganda, lying about facts, lying about data, lying about dismissing and disregarding historical facts, and you cannot defend it by using this tactic because it's just dishonest.
Cultural genocide against people like the native population in Canada when they were forcefully assimilated into the European population. So why do European nations not have the right to protect their sovereignty and their identity, their history and their future? We shouldn't see it any different than any other race. I don't put Europeans on a pedestal. I say they have just as much right to preserve
Nah, you do put them on a pedestal. That's exactly what you've been doing the entire time.
Identity, as we believe the importance of the indigenous identities, the importance of African identities, of Asian identities.
Part of the problem which your policeman friend unwittingly stumbled across was he used the term highly religious. Yes. He said you can't walk down outside the mosque, Lauren, because they're highly religious, as if this somehow gave a force field around their ideas and their attitude and their culture. We can debate how religious Islam is or isn't, but it's the political ideology and the cultural identity that you're criticizing, not the religion. Yet the religion acts, again, as a force field to prevent criticism, correct?
Right. Well, people have to understand where these religions...
You can criticize all you want, but what you're doing most of the time, it's like you're trying to burn the Quran, you're trying to like spread lies, you fund extremism, and then when they commit the crime, you want everybody to apologize to you, Like, remember that case with the grooming gang in the United Kingdom where they said, oh, what did Muslims, they come with this barbaric culture from Pakistan, and they come to the UK and they abuse these white British women. And when we ask it, why there's no, like if they commit a crime, why the police is not arresting? The argument was the police was afraid of arresting these so-called Pakistani. First of all, they were born in the United Kingdom. They were not from Pakistan. They might have a heritage, but that's beyond the point. When confronted with the reality, they said the police was afraid because they are going to be, they were afraid of like being labeled as a Islamophobe or something like that. What? It has nothing to do with Islam. Why? You want somebody from Saudi Arabia to come to some white British and apologize because your police department is not doing its job? Like, what kind of nonsense is that? This is why it's not really criticism. You are full of shit. That's what you're doing. The police is not arresting people for committing crime in Britain, right? And you want somebody from Egypt or somebody from Syria to come apologize to you because your police department is not taking justice seriously. I mean, listen, I'm just disturbed because this is like you want to frame it as criticism, but that's not what you're doing. What you're doing is that you're spreading lies and propaganda, just like what you did with the Jews for 500 years in Europe. The same thing you're doing to Muslim right now, and we can see the pattern. Maybe you don't see it because you have some type of amnesia. This is why you can't remember the past, and that's why you have statues of these monsters still in place, and you don't want to remove them. You don't want to give back to all the resources that you stole from India, all the artifacts that you stole from Africa.
If it was a highly Christian area, I wouldn't be concerned because Christianity is actually what formed much of the West and most of our freedoms. And the reason for that is
Yeah, you formed, you know why you formed it? Because you went all over the world and stole everything from everybody, from the spices, the ivory, the gold, the silver, the minerals, the rare earth. You stole everything. So that you built, you know, you got nice stuff. You built that so-called civilization, but it was built by stealing. You're a thief. You steal and civilize.
Christianity is based on choice. You can choose to follow God. You can choose to say goodbye. You choose to eat from the tree of good and evil, right? It's all based on
Well,
this
you've
choice
been eating from the trees of evil all this time.
that you make, and God gives you that free choice. Whereas Islam has always been based on submission. You submit to Allah, and you cannot leave, or you will be killed. So
Oh man, I can't finish this video. This woman is lying too much. I mean, it's like she's lying too much. Let's ask, do Muslims... Okay, so here's we're gonna ask, do Muslim kills people, you know, for living their religion? And I asked, you know, if they can find some numbers. I mean, I just can't deal with too much propaganda. I mean, the Westerners are just like dishonest people. Why do you have to lie all the time? Like, I don't get it. So it says, the treatment of apostates, those living very significantly across Muslim majority countries and coming. So the death penalty in some countries, as of 2021, 10 Muslim majority countries legally prescribe the death penalty for apostasy, including Afghanistan, etc. So however, legal execution are rare. So they're talking about it like it's something that happens all the time. It happens every day. You just leave religion. First of all, if you leave the religion, who is gonna know? Nobody's gonna know, right? What you want is like you want to be evangelical about it. And that's what creates the problem. You made it a career. You want to leave the religion and talk shit about the prophet. You want to leave the religion and burn the Quran in public. You want to leave the religion and go on podcast and talk shit about that religion, the culture, the tradition. That's what you want. You want to make it a career. And that's what creates the problem. If you just leave the religion, nobody's going to know anyway. So it says civil penalty, 13 additional countries imposed civil. Well, I want to know how many are executed. So there was in Afghanistan in 2006, one guy faced a death threat and was released only after being declared mentally unfit. There's another guy, Musa, in 2010. There's like 4 guys. This is 4 instances in almost like a decade. This is why I say the dishonesty. Do you see the dishonesty? 4 guys in Algeria. Somebody was, arrested, carried 5 years in prison, whatever. Bangladesh, secular activist killed in 2015. One guy. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying it's one freaking guy, one person in a year. And this is, I'm asking, I will expect hundreds of thousands, millions of people. Okay, we have these Western groups, you know. So surveys show that 88% of Muslims in Egypt and 60% public opinion support the death penalty. See, okay, they support it. I want to know, I want to see like hundreds of thousands of cases. It's not that I want to see. I'm expecting to see that. Like when you put a claim like that, you know, especially like on national television and all that, and you publish it and, you know, it's like I'm expecting like, oh, this is a serious issue. But all I can find is like one guy here, one guy there, 4 guys in a decade. And then you got like, I mean, listen. Anyway, that's my take on it. If you have anything to add, leave it in the comments and like, share, subscribe, and see you next time.